Transport. Moving from one place to another is called transport. There are many different forms of transport.
Kids get to school in different ways. Some kids can walk to school. Kids who live far from school have to use other forms of transport, like bicycles, cars, buses, taxis, or trains.
If you do walk to school, there are some things to remember. Make sure to walk in groups. Don't walk through areas that are empty or dangerous.
If you travel by bus, taxi, or train, you should also travel with others. Never go alone. It can be very dangerous.
Some kids get to school with their parents or an adult who drives them there. Whatever kind of transport you use, you should never talk to strangers. Even if they offer you nice things or seem friendly, you should walk away. Land transport.
Buses, cars, taxis, and trains all travel on land, so we call them land transport. Riding motorbikes or bicycles are also forms of land transport.
When riding a bicycle, you must always watch out for cars. The road can be very dangerous for a cyclist.
If you're cycling at night, you should wear reflective clothing so the cars can see you.
Water and sea transport. Water is another form of transport. Boats are used to travel across water.
Some boats are really small. You can use them for fishing or exploring a river or lake.
And some boats are gigantic. Cruise liners are big ships that carry thousands of passengers sailing across the ocean to other countries.
Then there are medium-sized boats, like ferries. They are used to transport people across large bodies of water, like lakes or rivers. Ferries can even transport cars over water.
South Africa has a very long coastline, so we use boats for transporting goods.
The place where boats stop to load passengers and goods is called a port. South Africa has over 20 ports.
Air transport.
Have you ever seen planes flying in the sky? That's called air transport.
Airplanes are large vehicles that can take off from the ground and fly in the air.
Aeroplanes can travel great distances in much shorter time than water or land transport can.
There are also forms of air transport for shorter distances, like a helicopter. Helicopters travel much lower than aeroplanes. They can be used to fly across cities.
Hospitals sometimes use helicopters to pick up very sick patients when there is no other form of transport.
Helicopters are also used to put out big forest fires with large tubs of water.
Some air transport can go even further than the sky. Space shuttles were invented to travel into space.
They travel over 28 times faster than airplanes. That's really, really fast.
Wow! I'd get dizzy.
Transport long ago. Before planes, trains, and cars were invented, people had to use other forms of transport.
Horses were used in many parts of the world to travel from city to city. And in dry, desert areas, camels were used, since they can go for very long without any water.
Once the wheel was invented, people created carts to attach the horse. Instead of riding on horse's back, they could sit comfortably in the cart.
Then they made carts more fancy by adding a roof, creating a carriage. Only the richest people could travel in carriages because it was so expensive to make back then.
As technology improved, more forms of transport were invented.
The first trains were powered by steam engines, which is where the choo-choo sound comes from. It was the steam coming out of the train like a kettle.
Steam was also used to power ships. Over many years, ships got bigger and bigger until they could make giant cruise liners like we see today.
Did you know the penny farthing, also known as the high wheel or high wheeler, is a type of bicycle with a large front wheel and a much smaller rear wheel? It was very popular until the development of the safety bicycle in the 1880s. It was the first machine to be called a bicycle.
And the first modern automobile was invented by Carl Benz in 1886.
All forms of transport started from simple ideas. It used to take months to travel to different countries. Nowadays, you can fly halfway around the world in less than a day.
We have to thank the Wright brothers for inventing and building the world's first successful airplane.
All around the world, there are different kinds of transport. See if you can come up with some on your own.
Happy traveling!